On June 16, 1903, something happened that few people noticed, but that would forever change the way we live. It was on this day that Henry Ford started the Ford Motor Company. With little fanfare, Ford set out to produce a car admired for its exceedingly reasonable price. Although his first cars didn't quite meet that goal, Ford's revolutionary techniques would soon make the horse-drawn carriage a thing of the past, and the effects would ripple through every aspect of society. At the turn of the century, cars were becoming more commonplace, but they were still primarily a luxury for the wealthy. Since the cars were made by hand from individually fitted parts, the cost of making the vehicles was prohibitively expensive for most people. A large majority still relied on horse-drawn carriages for transportation. In the past, specially trained technicians built a car from start to finish. They knew how each part operated and how to assemble the whole car. Ford changed the system so that the car would come to the worker. Each worker would have one simple task, which allowed Ford to hire unskilled workers. As the cars rolled by the workers, the parts would arrive on a conveyor belt. Workers would then quickly add their part to the car in progress and wait for the next car and part to roll down the line. The impact of the new construction process was almost unbelievable at the time. The Model T, which had originally gone on sale for over $800, eventually dropped in price to $290. At the same time, profits were so high that Ford raised the minimum wage in his plants to $5 a day. Not much by today's standards, but unheard of in Ford's day. Ford eagerly promoted his new production techniques, and as more companies began to adopt the methods, productivity and standards of living began to rise all around the world. And as cars began to give people more independence, their whole way of life began to change. Suburbs began to grow up around cities, and families began to spread out across the country. But more important, mass production has become the standard around the world, and industrialized nations now enjoy a higher standard of living than at any other time in history, all because one man wanted to find a better, less expensive way to make a car.